This morning's guest is going to be talking about sugar, but the statistics aren't sweet. Who is she? You'll meet her coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in the Design Center at the Stone Temple in the industrial park behind Myrtle Beach Lighting. We're focused on the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and we're visiting with one of its dedicated volunteers, Monica Bailey. Good morning, Monica.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
How about this Design Center? This place is amazing,
Beautiful.
isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We've been through here earlier this morning. It's great for them to let us in early in the morning on a Wednesday. Of course, particularly to highlight juvenile diabetes and so much of what's going on. Of course, your daughter and much of how this has impacted her life over the last, is it 9.5 years?
Right. Absolutely. Almost 10 years now.
Wow. When exactly did y'all find out that she, or when was she diagnosed with juvenile diabetes?
Right. Well, you know, we were like most brand new parents, brand new baby, life is perfect, and a few months after she was diagnosed, she had an ear infection that would not go away, and then she began displaying the typical symptoms of diabetes: extreme thirst, frequent urination. She lost a massive amount of weight at just the age of 9 months. Took her to the doctor, and they immediately sent us to the pediatric intensive care unit of our local hospital, and she stayed there for 2 days, and we were told that she could slip into a coma. It was that severe at that time, but thank goodness she did not. And you know, we deal with this daily battle every day, and have for 9 years now.
She was less than a year old.
Oh yes, 9.5 months.
Wow.
Yeah, very uncommon. In fact, the pediatrician had not seen a case that young before, which is why we almost lost her. They didn't think to look for that.
Is that right? These days, is it in setting at an earlier age? Does it keep getting earlier, or has that been an issue?
Well, sadly, that has been the trend. In fact, over the past 5 years, statistics show us that children under the age of 5 who are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, that number has doubled in the past 5 years. And no one seems to know why. So definitely moving in the wrong direction.
It looked like when I was visiting the JDRF.org site that a lot more dollars have been raised to try to come up with a cure to juvenile diabetes, but at the same time, those numbers seem to be going up.
That's right. Well, and that's why I think there's such an imminent need to find a cure. It's too easy to put things off and think, well, you know, insulin's out there, and there's other means to take care of children with diabetes, but really there's no substitution for that cure.
That is incredible. What is the difference, Monica, between type 1 and is there another? Is it type 2 diabetes?
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that question because it's a tremendous difference. Type 2 diabetes makes up 80 to 85% of Americans have type 2. And that is where their pancreas does make insulin, but the body does not metabolize it properly. So oftentimes that can be treated with oral medication, proper diet, exercise, and can go away if taken care of. However, type 1, like my daughter has, juvenile diabetes, that accounts for about 10 to 15% of all cases. And that is where the body turns on itself, so to speak. It's an autoimmune disorder. And the immune system, which should be killing viruses and keeping us healthy, has turned on the pancreas and shuts it down. And essentially the pancreas cannot make insulin anymore. So those children will have diabetes for the rest of their life or until a cure is found. So huge difference. Until a cure is found, absolutely. So about 10 to 15% of persons suffering from diabetes. Right, have that type. And it ends up being about 16 million people, though, across the country.
Is that right? I was fascinated to see those figures of the hundreds of millions of persons that are impacted by diabetes in general.
Right.
But, of course, that the 16 million there impact, that's incredible.
You're right.
That is incredible. Is this hereditary, Monica? Is this something that...
Yeah. There is a genetic factor there, and you know what I find interesting though is that 80% of the children who are diagnosed with type 1 have no family history of it though.
Is that right?
No family history. However, once they've been diagnosed, there is a definite tendency to carry on that gene. I know for us, we have another child, Cameron, and one on the way.
Oh, great.
And
Congratulations.
So, thank you, thank you. And so our children have up to a 20% chance of developing the disease at some point in their life, type 1. And then parents who have insulin-dependent diabetes have up to a 50% chance of passing that on to their children.
Is that right? So if you or Scott had either type 1 or type 2, or
type 1,
principally
really.
type 1,
absolutely.
it would have a 50% chance of passing that on.
Up to a 50%.
Neither of y'all are inflicted with type 1,
No, we
right?
were one of those statistics where 80%, there was no family history of type 1 in our family. So, yeah.
That's incredible. How is this, obviously there's probably a lot that your daughter doesn't share, but probably a lot that she does share about how this impacts her life. Is there, instances that you're either able to watch or that she talks about, which is the most difficult for her to, is equally incredible? And I know we wanted to highlight, and you said that earlier this morning, highlight the jdrf.org website, because it has so many incredible facts and figures.
Right.
But of course it has a lot of powerful quotes from children and folks of all ages. Mary Tyler Moore, who's the international spokesperson for JDRF.
Right.
There's some strong feelings that go into children suffering from this chronic disease.
Absolutely. And, on the one hand, Crystal has had this disease all of her life. So as a toddler, people were always amazed that I could stick her finger and get that blood sample and she didn't flinch, because that's what she knew.
Yeah.
However, now that she's older, there is that element of not wanting to feel different around her friends, her peers, absolutely. And yet she knows that not by choice, but she has to live. We have to live this regimented lifestyle. I mean, we don't have a choice in order to keep her alive and as healthy as we can. There's certain things we have to do, even if that means doing that around her peers at times.
Right.
So certainly she's starting to be aware of that she's different. But, she's the bravest person I know. I tell people she's my hero. She's a phenomenal, mature little girl who's been through a lot.
Absolutely. And interfacing with her brother, as Cameron, I'm sure he's gleaned a lot from her as well.
Oh,
probably.
Sure,
yeah.
sure. He has, and they're very close, absolutely.
That's powerful. If a viewer needed to get off to work now or off to school, is there a good phone number for someone to learn more about JDRF? Or, of course, we'll talk about the walk that happened in March in just a minute, or even that website again. Sure.
If someone would like to contact me directly, I'm happy to answer questions or certainly offer suggestions. My number is 843-222-2872.
Okay.
And I would be glad to answer questions. And again, I do encourage any of the viewers out there, if they have a loved one with diabetes or, to visit that website. It is jdrf.org. It's not only a phenomenal resource, there's information there, but there's even an area where children can connect with a pen pal, someone else who has diabetes.
Oh, great. Good.
So there's just so much there. You can ask doctors questions if you have concerns about your child, and endocrinologists all over the country answer those questions for you. So it's just a powerful website.
Did you say there was also an email address that folks could use to contact the PD division of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation?
That would be great if someone wants more information, if they want to get involved on a local level. Rhonda Weatherford is our walk chair for the PD chapter, which is located in Florence, and that email address is PD, the letters PD, diabeteswalk at bellsouth.net.
Okay, PD Diabetes Walk at bellsouth.net.
That's it.
Very important. And Rhonda's been doing this for a long time. I think we were with Rhonda around the time we filmed Up Near the Walk, which was held at Francis Marion. We may have actually filmed at the walk, during the walk, around that time. Had some tremendous folks in. Bob and Nan Kogler were with us from Color Time, who are long supporters of the fight against diabetes, and Bob, a long-time sufferer. And of course, they call it juvenile diabetes, the type 1, but of course it impacts folks well into their senior years.
That's right, absolutely.
Let's talk about the walk that you had back in March. You all had, I understand, a very successful walk. Where was that held? And is there still a way that folks, viewers now, could be involved in trying to help push that goal well beyond?
Sure. Yes, we did have a successful walk. March 31st, our Walk to Cure Diabetes, the PD chapter, was held at Francis Marion University.
Was good, yeah.
Beautiful day. We had gorgeous
yeah.
weather for that, and we had several hundred people showed up for that event. And I know that so far the PD chapter has raised about $85,000, and the money is still coming in. And you know what's very exciting is that that money goes directly to those researchers who
yes.
are looking for a cure. And many of those researchers have children who have diabetes also.
Is that right?
Absolutely. And so they take their job very seriously. So it's exciting to know the money is still coming in, though, and if anyone wants to make a donation still, that would be wonderful.
Right.
They can do so by contacting Rhonda at that email address.
Sure.
They can also go to the website, jdrf.org. In fact, on the main page, there is a donate button that you can click on, and we would consider it just an honor if anyone wanted to make a donation in honor of Crystal, my daughter. We
can Crystal Bailey.
Right.
They'd have to type in Crystal Bailey. Great.
Crystal's Crusaders. That was
Crystal's
her walk
Crusaders,
team, our family team name. Mm-hmm.
And you had folks from all over the area.
Absolutely.
In on that. Yeah, sure. Yeah, diabetes impacts so many, even when particularly that one child or adult as they've gotten older, but clearly so many other folks are impacted by this chronic disease.
Right, absolutely. Well, it's not going away. It's something that we deal with personally on a day-to-day basis, whether we want to or not. It's not something you can take a vacation from.
Right.
It's something that by the time her feet hit the ground, in fact, before then, my husband and I still, 10 years later, set our alarm at night to get up and go and check her blood sugars during the night. Absolutely. We've done that for 10 years because, she had a seizure one night when her blood sugars went too low, and who can sleep after that when your child has a seizure, and that could have resulted in death or brain damage.
Right.
So we do that during the night as well. So a cure needs to be found is all I know. And I believe that it will be found in our lifetime. In fact, JDRF was founded by parents of children who have diabetes.
Back in 1970.
That's right, that's right. It's been around for several years, and that was their goal, to find a cure in their children's lifetime. And I believe that we'll do it.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Great. Why do you feel so good about it? Just because the research advances have been so pronounced? Yeah.
Absolutely. There are just phenomenal things taking place. Several years ago, some research took place where they actually were able to inject islet cells, which are what is destroyed in the pancreas.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
They injected that into a group of about 12 or 13 people, a clinical trial. They injected the islet cells into the liver, and the liver began to produce insulin, just like the pancreas would do.
Oh, great.
And there are certainly side effects to that and risk, but those folks are insulin-free today. And that effort was funded by JDRF.
And some of the risks that folks would need to be worried about, because that sounds like a very exciting potential cure that folks would be running toward.
Right. When I heard about it, I was just thrilled. I thought, this is it. We're going to find a cure before she's in middle school. But one of the major risks right now with that particular research is that you have to have immunosuppressive drugs for the rest of your life so that your body does not reject those foreign islet cells. And so, especially for children, there's a risk of long-term effects like cancer and other concerns of taking those heavy-duty drugs for the rest of your life. So right now, they only took a sample of adults. Since she's under the age of 18, it'll be a little while before they'll do any type of clinical trials on her.
But break down a little bit for viewers who may not be familiar with diabetes. Just when someone hears insulin, how does it work exactly? You're talking about pricking your daughter's finger. Just to maybe the ABCs of insulin and just diabetes in general. Right.
Well, the non-diabetic person, we should all have blood sugars in the normal range, which would be about 75 to 125. And the only way you can really check that is through a blood test. Now, the person who has diabetes, their body does not, type 1, as we mentioned earlier, doesn't make insulin. And you have to have insulin to survive. Insulin, everyone has to have insulin to survive. That is the way that we turn food into energy. And if we cannot do that, we're starving, and our body starts to break down the fat in our body instead, and it becomes a very serious situation. It's called DKA for short, diabetic ketoacidosis, and that's what Crystal had when she was initially diagnosed, and why it was so severe. So it's important that the diabetic keep their blood sugars in that normal range as much as possible. And in order to do that, you have to do finger sticks and check the blood. And you know, Crystal sticks her finger by herself now,